The next question here comes from @BSGSV. The question here is, does an 8% initial withdrawal rate create the same sequence of returns danger as overspending during an early market decline? That is a summary, but let me read your actual question here because that's not sending anything my way. Isn't an 8% initial withdrawal rate essentially the same as the sequence returns risk where a retiree takes distributions during a 50% market downturn in the first few years of retirement? They're taking twice as much as they should, 4% being the safe withdrawal rate. Okay, now I see where this is going. At the beginning of retirement, and potentially crippling the portfolio's ability to survive 30 years. Okay, awesome. Thank you for asking the question, because this is an opportunity for us to talk about why some of the fundamental assumptions in your question, which, no judgment, they're simply incorrect. So 4% is not the safe. We have to define terminology. 4% is the safe withdrawal rate for a specific set of conditions that were modeled in Bill Bengen, this great researcher's work, that are assumes several things that are not real about life. The first assumption, for the 4% withdrawal rate to actually apply to anybody, your life would have to match the exact same conditions as the research. One of those conditions would be your portfolio would have to be a 50-50 stock to bond portfolio. Fine, maybe you could match that. The second condition is you would have to make no lifestyle adjustments whatsoever for the 30 years of your retirement. Nobody does that. Nobody just puts their blinders. I mean, fine, I shouldn't be too hyperbolic, but human nature is not designed such that we literally put on blinders, goggles, block our peripherals, and never make changes in retirement. Everybody makes changes. We do it all the time. That's what being a human is. Sometimes we're not even aware of the changes. So the point is, this 4% safe withdrawal research is only useful academically. It is not useful practically. The other problem there is the 4% withdrawal rate doesn't factor in things like future income sources that might reduce your withdrawal rate. So a 4% withdrawal rate illustration is a flat 4% adjusted for inflation over 30 years. What if someone ends up having a 4% withdrawal rate for 20 years and then a 2% withdrawal rate for the last 10 years? Do they still use the 4% withdrawal rate as a safe withdrawal rate? I think logic would tell us that that would not be the right approach, but it's for each of us to determine our level of comfort. My point in saying that is, when we show an 8% initial withdrawal rate, when a 8% withdrawal rate, initial withdrawal rate is responsibly shown in any type of educational material, it is not a recommendation for people to use an 8% withdrawal rate. It's an illustration that it could be possible if you had the same conditions as the case that is being shown. And in the case that is being shown, it has to be the case that that person has future income sources that kick in and therefore bring down someone's withdrawal rate later on in such a way that would allow for the level of risk that an early 8% withdrawal rate would expose them to. So hopefully that made sense. The point is, it's a confluence of factors. I think one of the greatest services that I or any retirement educator can do is to dispose of the myth that the 4% rule is a good, useful, safe withdrawal rate that is broadly applicable. It is useful for research, but as with anything that is academic, it is kind of tried and tested in a sterile, kind of hyperbolic chamber that is not real life. Real life is complicated. Now, one of the reasons that 4% safe withdrawal rate is so appealing is because it reduces our need to make decisions. And I can't blame anyone for that. There's a lot of freaking decisions we have to make in life. The fewer decisions I have to make, the better I feel, candidly. But we all have to choose where we want to eliminate our responsibility for making decisions. And I would make the case that I don't think planning around retirement is one of those places. Candidly, there's tons of research out there that most of the time, a plurality of the time, someone who follows the 4% rule would have died with way more unspent money than they started with. It's significant, even across historic market downturns like the lost decade, from 1999 to 2008. So you can find that research. I've done plenty of videos showing this. I think this hopefully will help at least challenge you to think through this and look through some of the other elements that could dispel that myth. Because it's not a guarantee and this is not advice, but in many cases, it's worth looking into whether we could spend more earlier in retirement than we're being led to believe. I have a lot of reasons to think that, there's an incentive structure that is aligned with convincing people they have to wait till end of life. There's a psychological relief structure for us. Making decisions early in retirement comes with risk. And if we commit to spending more in early retirement, we are responsible for the risk of if things don't go well, even if that's very low probability. And oftentimes our perception of its likelihood that things don't go well makes us think it will be a lot more likely to not go well, even though the probabilities are low. There's a lot of ways to arm ourselves and prevent against that psychological conditioning. But it is, I think it is critically important that we actually at least consider the possibility that there are opportunities and ways to spend more earlier in retirement than we've been led to believe, and to mathematically justify it. So hopefully that's a good answer. And it's a great question. And I don't envy you being in the position you're in. It's a tough position to learn to find trust and safety in some of these non-standard concepts, because it does feel risky. And as humans, we like safety. I can't blame anyone for that. So thanks for the question at BSGSV. Real quick, let me show you the exact 3-pillar comprehensive retirement roadmap that takes retirees from uncertainty to peace of mind that less than 1% of retirees actually have in place. Now, I've built hundreds of these for retirees, and I can say with a high degree of confidence that these are the 3 pillars every retiree needs to have in place in order to have full confidence that they're not missing anything in their retirement plan. And I broke each of these down by the specific questions. You can see them here that each needs to be answered and the best way to answer them. Now, we've done this across pre-retirees, recent retirees, married couples, single retirees, $1 million portfolios, $10 million portfolios, all the above, and it works. And it's my gift to you today. It's absolutely free. It's in the first link in the description below this video. It's going to say free comprehensive retirement roadmap training. Just click the link, enter your info, and you'll get instant access all for free.